Well, England have discarded the funereal black they wore against Argentina last weekend. Perhaps appropriate attire in keeping with the performance last Sunday. England's fans will be hoping that today's pristine white is a portent of things to come. Jacques van Poortvliet there in the starting lineup today. Well, ever since 1918, when the guns fell silent across Europe at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, this weekend in many of the rugby family's nations has been one for remembering all those who have given their lives on the battlefield, and Twickenham shall now pay its own tribute. Now the anthems, starting with Japan.
If able, please remain standing for God Save the King, performed by Marinella Phillips.
God save the King.
This, in its own way, as big an 80 minutes as England have faced since the World Cup final in Yokohama. The teams, well, for all the blame he heaped on himself, Eddie Jones still intended making 5 changes to his starting 15 today. In the forwards, Alex Coles and Billy Vunipola are out. In come David Ribbons and Sam Simmons. The Marcus Smith, Owen Farrell and Manu Tuolangi combination is broken up. Guy Porter wears 13 instead of Tuolangi. Johnny May is in. Joe Thoka Nasinga was supposed to be out, but he returns because of injury to Jack Noel. Jamie Joseph has made just a single alteration to the 15, which ran an All Blacks 15 close a fortnight ago. It's the same pack. Michael Leach, ever present. Jack Connelson, he of the famous father. Kazuki Himeno, a growing reputation. The single change on the wing. Headed van den Heerba replaces Seiya Fafita. Kotaro Matsushima, a marquee name, remember him from the World Cup. Dylan Riley, he is a player to watch. These are the replacements. England hooker Jamie George has made a faster than predicted recovery from his foot injury and is straight into the 23. Japan, they've got a 5-3 split. So there were quite a few green seats only 10 minutes or so ago, but they are filling up. And this, without a doubt, Dowie, a game which has taken on far greater import as a consequence of that result from a week ago for England.
Yeah, there's plenty of excuses put out there, but for me, they've just got to cut out the penalties, England. They've got to get themselves a platform and start playing some rugby. They literally have to start playing some rugby. Get the crowd behind him, because again, one thing Japan will do, they will cause problems. So England got to really stifle them out from the game. That man in charge got a big 80 minutes ahead of him.
James Dolman is the referee from New Zealand. He was in charge of a World Under-20 final 3 years ago. It has been a rapid rise for him. So Argentina were here a week ago on Guy Fawkes weekend on what proved to be a bonfire of English rugby's vanity. I wonder, what do the Brave Blossoms have in store wearing their change strip? There is Riley. First touch. Comfortable early start for the Leicester fullback, Freddie Stewart, who pumps it up into the clear blue skies. The conditions, well, they're certainly more towards the end of summer than the start of winter. Joe Thoka Nasinga. We certainly learned just an hour before kickoff that he was back into 23. He scored the first try for England last week, but as a consequence of that, found himself out of the 23. But that abdominal injury, abdominal wall injury is how it was described by Eddie Jones. Noel is out, and Thoka Nasinga wears 14. Immediately into the hands of Nagare, the scrum half, one of the regulars. Here's Connelson. Connelson, his father, in the Wallabies, among the greatest players that country has produced in their Hall of Fame. On from the fly half, that's Yamasawa. Riley takes a run. The tackle there from Porter.
Out on the full.
Straight into touch. There's Dylan Riley.
Yeah, he's one to watch. Durban-born. He's one of the 10 non-sort of Japanese guys that have interjected into this side.
On this line.
Experience. And that's just an example of how Japan will play. They will retain ball. Jamie Joseph, JJ looks on, he'll make. And Nathan Muck has done great things there. He'll be wanting a quick start, a good start. I can put pressure on the white guys.
David Ribbons there with the two-handed take in the line-out. One of the most dominant forces in that department in the English Premiership for his club, Northampton. He's had to wait a long time to get his England debut. The arm out there from the referee. There's Marcus Smith, the floated pass, which looked a hint forward there to Johnny May, but the referee's let it pass. There's Van Portfleet. The carry from Ribbons, 2 men, 6'8" in both boiler houses. Warner Dearns, New Zealand born.
Not supporting body
second row
weight.
for Japan.
There's no way you can lift in that position.
And that's the explanation. Simmons goes forward. The guy goes over, he's not supporting his body weight. Was the penalty given for? Well, actually, he is supporting his body weight there. But again, they're trucking up. That was the initial pass, I think, was a little bit forward, but he came back for it. Johnny May being, well, amazing that he's back so early, just 3 weeks after dislocating his elbow. England going into the corner, a great kick there, putting the pressure on. There's one thing that did function well for England last week was the line out. They've got loads of options with there's 3 or 4 big giraffes in there. Again, where are they going to go? They're going to catch in drive, or they're going to let the backs have it? We will see.
Yes, Johnny Hill, David Ribbon, certainly 2 of the most effective line-out operators in English club rugby. Luke Cowan-Dickey goes, though, to Itoje. He's another of those giraffes. Here is Cowan-Dickey. He's got Ellis Genge there. Under his armpit. Van Portfleet. Out to Marcus Smith. That was charged down by Riley. And maybe there's a chance here, but the referee says that Japan have come offside.
Offside. Okay.
That's something they did get pinged quite a bit against New Zealand, is their line speed. They're very, very fit guys, but they know they've got to close these big sides, these tier 1 nation sides down. England just going to go for the throat here. Normally it's Cowan-Dickey. Or are they? No, Farrell's just said, we'll take... Are we taking 3?
Number, Craig.
Let's go back there, quick, go!
He's saying goal back. I don't know why he's saying goal back.
15.
He is going for 3. But this... He wants,
is that never back, Craig, or timing?
Here we go. There's the kick from Marcus Smith. Just
good, thank you.
Charged down, but initially it was given for the offside before that. But Farrell not messing around. 3 points right in front. Perfect start.
Well, there were 1 or 2 groans from the Twickenham crowd when Owen Farrell said, bring out the kicking tee. But if you respect your opponents, it is a test match of huge import. Then you build the scoreboard, and England have the first points. They lead by 3 points to 0.
Yeah, you're not going to throw it around and hope things will happen. Japan are you know, organised in defence, they know that. So if your points are an offer, you take them. It is a test match after all. You build your lead, and build your ability to put pressure on the opposite side, and hopefully they make a few mistakes.
So Sam Simmons, the extra chief, although he's moving to play in the French top 14 next season with Montpellier.
Stay there.
A path previously trodden by another former England number 8, Zach Mercer, who's on his way back to Gloucester. Van den Heever's called for it. Joe Thuckenus-Singer was underneath it, but neither of them got hold of it. It is now Japan's ball. There's Nagane on to Warner Dearns. There he is, Dearns, the son of a former New Zealand netball international, carried for that time from Nakamura, who was among the scorers 4 years ago here. Well, it was lost first time, but then I think he just grabbed it in time, did Gucci Won.
Advantage offside.
England now have come offside. The carry there from Tatafu. Samoan-born Yamasawa. Coming through quickly there was Tom Curry. Referee still playing that long advantage. Powerful run from Himeno. He was on among the try scorers against New Zealand in Tokyo a fortnight ago. Referee still playing an advantage. It was an offside, so it was a penalty advantage. It's very long, isn't it?
Yeah, different. Well, exactly. Different referees have different times of advantage. That time it was going and going, but again, as long as he communicates to the sides, normally when you kick a ball away, you have advantage is called over, but Japan aren't going to kick that ball away. They're just going to keep it through hand. And there's the diminutive scrum half, Nagara, just making things tick out there, going from left and right, not necessarily podding out, they're just keeping the ball through the hand. England there are trying to fly up through Kerry to try and stop them getting good ball. The result is they're off the line as they were, penalty time, and now they pump into the corner.
Well, England are familiar with the ways of James Dolman, and New Zealand are having taken charge of the first test in July between Australia and England. That was the test match that England lost. It is Atsushi Sakate. Plays his club rugby for the Wild Knights. To Yamasawa, Riley trying to burst a hole in the middle of that England midfield defence, which has been altered since last week. Manatualangi, whose workload is being managed. Here's Riley again, good hands. Cunning in field, Nakamura. Tatafu almost getting ball in Ellis Genge. It's been turned over by England. Cowan Dickey presenting it. Sinclair, bounce pass there to Marcus Smith. Yamanaka has to make some ground. The ball not behaving as he'd like it to. Johnny May is in pursuit. Yamanaka, well, that one was out of the middle, and then it's knocked on, I think, by Maro Itoje.
Well, the Kobe Steelers, the fullback, gets away with that one. Maro Itoje, it's a hard ball to take. Maybe should have used a bit of football skills, just trap it. But again, one good turnover, again coming from the line speed of England, and one thing you don't want, if you're receiving back from the Japan's point of view, is Ellis Genge running right at you. And that put the guy off, and the turnover ball, and Johnny May was up the field.
Yes, Johnny May, as that graphic pointed out there, played in that remarkable win against South Africa on this ground almost 12 months ago, but he's had injury problems, missed out on the Guinness Six Nations, and then 22 days ago dislocated his elbow playing for his club Gloucester, not far from here at Brentford against London Irish. Well, let's see how this Japanese scrum goes. Remember, one of the great successes, marshalled by a certain Eddie Jones when Japan beat South Africa down on the coast of Brighton. It was the quick strike, getting the set pieces, reducing them to a minimum.
We don't need to do that again these days. You just roll it into the 8 feet, which they will do, and you take advantage of that rule that's not implied at all. So it does devalue the scrum and depower it. But equal, what will happen is on England's ball, as New Zealand proved out in Tokyo when they beat Japan, they can always come back to a powerful scrum. So if you want a penalty, there you go. And this time, they're really getting into them early doors. And now the referee's made that decision. Where did Japan go? That's why they'll keep the ball in hand. They won't want any breakdowns. They won't want any scrums.
Well, it's a long-established front row here for Japan.
Needs to hit up.
Same two props who were responsible for so much success for Japan during the World Cup, the last World Cup I'm talking about, and they won all 4 of their pool games, most notably beating both Scotland and Ireland. Ellis Genge shaking his head, I'm not quite sure what that's about.
Well, I don't know. I think the penalty, he's actually his opposite number, the tight head, sort of rolled his shoulder in, broke his bind. That's given him England the penalty chance. Farrell could have gone for 3, probably would have got it with his accuracy, but again, no wind, beautiful conditions out there. Perfect for this guy, Cowan Dickey, to hit his man.
Goes to Itoje, the Saracen again, who stays in the air for what seems like an age.
And that's a penalty again, because Ribbons has stopped the opposition getting a touch, and also Sinclair is right in front of Maro Itoje, something we were told to pick up on by the World Rugby authorities.
And Portfleet, who made such an impact swiftly last week after barely 30 seconds. And now there's a real chance, and it's Stewart. And Stewart, barely a Japanese hand on that brilliant white shirt. It's taken less than 12 minutes. England are back in business.
Matsushima, the right wing of Japan, has just jumped out of his line. Again, you think England are going to go, keep it going, they don't. They try to rush up on Farrell. Farrell pulled it out the back door to Marcus Smith. That's when the combination winger, Matsushima, just doesn't get up on Stewart. And he's a big, rangy guy, fullback. It's very simple. Riley takes out just a maths exam, numbers on the outside. Doesn't need Johnny May. Stewart is under no illusion of where the defence is. Simple try, too easy really for England there. Japan didn't ask many questions in defence. Stewart knew the answers and scored.
Well, Matsushima, you can see there the expression tells you all you need to know. He realises, acknowledges the mistake he's made. Tsushima hasn't played much rugby in the last 6 months after dislocating his shoulder in what proved to be his final game for Clermont-Auvergne in the top 14 in France. He's now back playing his club rugby, or due to play his club rugby back in Japan. England mindful that when these sides met on this ground 4 years ago, it was Japan who got off to the fast start. They led at half-time. Early stages here, though, and Owen Farrell, who was 7 out of 7 perfect a week ago, knocks that one straight through the middle.
And there it comes, there's the miss. And like I said, the Leicester Flyer is not going to miss that. It's just a simple strolling. It's not anything more than that. And that's when you use the blitz defence. If you actually rush up and you don't check your man, that's what happens. England romping away so far. 10 points within the first 13-14 minutes.
Yawasawa with the steepling restart. David Ribbons, 6'8" in his stocking feet. Got well above the height of the basketball hoop that time, I'd suggest. The kick pass from Farrell to May. May immediately onto the left foot. Covering across was Tavita Tatapu. Oh, and Matsushima just fumbles it forward. I must say, it was a revelation at the World Cup 3 years ago, was Kotaro Matsushima. But, well, he's not had a great start this afternoon.
No, well, that's the way they want to play. That's the way they think they have to play. But it's all well and good. In good conditions, you've got to hold that pass. The number 8 coming across, Johnny May. Well, we've seen the kick pass many, many times. There's the big number 8. Tatafu just put it up there. Not the greatest of passes. The winger's onto it, but knocks it forward. So, again, it's all going England's way at the moment. And straight away, it's the penalty count. Not for England this time. I make it 4 for Japan, just 1 for England. That's the difference. Ball in hand, going forward. They're not having to give away penalties, England, just to get themselves into the game.
Yes, Matsushima started a couple of weeks ago against New Zealand. That was actually his first game of rugby competitively since playing against Freddie Stewart's and Jack van Poortvliet's and Guy Porter's Leicester in the last 16 tie of the Champions Cup.
Sideways, straight to me.
Well, once again, we may well have a reset there, Dowie, but that was another illustration of the sheer muscular supremacy of England.
It's absolutely the right decision. Richard Cockrell's coaching, obviously, the forwards. There's a little bit about scrummaging, and when you've got a team that's just given away a penalty for slipping your bind, you're going to go at them. Definitely are put in from a mistake from them. Just heap the pressure on. You know, just get that into the back of the referee's mind, TMO's mind, touch judge's mind, that we are strong in this area. And England obviously are very, very strong. So it's gloomy signs for Japan so early into this match, and England have got a good bench to come on as well.
Carl Sinclair, 16 minutes in, is already into his second pair of shorts.
Okay, let's go.
Back in your day, Dowie, I think they only provided you with 1 pair for an entire season.
Something like that, yes. It wasn't as bad as that, Martin.
Don't move over the mark.
He did have a new kit every time. He used to exchange it with the opposite number.
Let's go.
Here we go. Great opportunity now. The field is open for England. Will Simmons come off the back of there with Curry joined on? And Portfleet's got options all over the place. Johnny May's off the wing right behind Marcus Smith.
Once again, look at that Japanese front row in all sorts of trouble.
Tight head. Far side.
Once again, it's Ellis Genge applying the pressure on Gu Ji-won.
Tight head, cranking.
They've got a taste of the earth in TW1, the postcode in these parts.
Again, the right thing to do. Good scrum. He's gone down in there.
So we want him off his arm, don't we? But for the scrum, we want him off his
Cheer
arm.
a penalty no more than you cheer a try, don't you?
If you show
Led
me
by
shoulder to the
Mariatoji.
stands, yeah, and not this, then I can look at
As
something
a
else.
referee, you've got to bind straight, not underneath the arm to bring it down. England won't mind that. Cowan-Dickie, here we go.
That was to Hill. There's Simmons. Van Portfleet. Oh, and Curry, I think, just nudged it forward a little bit. Johnny Hill was through, but it was just the fingers and thumbs of Tom Curry that spilt the ball forward.
Lost forward.
Van Portfleet, we've all been there. It's just the exuberance of youth. That's a great line out. Again, Simmons right up the middle. Cowan-Dickie could have gone, and Portfleet, he's just grabbing that ball. The guys hadn't rucked it out the way. The presentation was okay. Again, 99 times out of 100, that goes out nice, and Curry takes it, and like you said, Johnny Hill's under the post and scores. Unfortunately, it wasn't for the big lad, but England have got something they enjoy even more, scrimmaging, so pressure on. Nagare, the 9, get this in, get this out. It'll be interesting to see if Japan run all the way and try and run all the way up the field. You've got Stewart, who's really back at 15 roll for England, past the halfway.
That was better. And the clearance kick. That's not the best from Yamasawa.
Yamasawa, again, he was excellent in Tokyo against the Blacks.
Yeah,
Just had loads of time, loads of space, and that's what you need as a 10, orchestrating things against different playing at home in Tokyo to away at Twickenham, especially after England losing to Argentina. And as you said, Martin, two of these guys, the first 2 games in the World Cup will be Argentina, will be Japan, so they know a little bit about each other.
Ripped play.
Well, it's been ripped off Guy Porter there. Good work from Tabita Tafu. Nagare. There's Matsushima, the fullback in the line. Yamanaka. There's Van der Heerden. And then the little offload to Riley went forward, and forward off the hands of Thokanasiga.
It's come off a blue player into another blue player.
Well, one thing we tend to expect from Japan, they take risks.
It bumps off your player into another
they
player.
Concede a lot of turnovers.
Accidental offside.
They play the offloading game. When it goes right, it is a sight to behold, but as we saw there...
Time off, a player down.
And that not giving Dylan Riley any sort of chance at all.
Just needs to present it on the floor. All he's trying to do is the big wing is hold it up.
Time's off.
But you've seen Porter, there's not his best touches out, one of his first touches in the game, and he's taken that ball up as a good outside centre or inside centre wants to do. Farrell wants him to do that job, and he loses in contact. That's not good from the Leicester guy. That gave Japan the ball over, and then unfortunately they've sort of turned it over. So a little bit scrappy at the moment, but England the happier side with a good start.
That's perfect, right?
Guy Porter, one of the interesting selections today. Hasn't played too much rugby since starting in both the 2nd and 3rd tests in Australia. Those test matches which England won to claim the series, but since then made just a couple of appearances for Leicester before fracturing a cheekbone, and that was 7 weeks ago. He did have a run out for Leicester last week in one of those hastily arranged fixtures that a number of the English Premiership clubs are doing as a consequence of the demise of both Worcester and Wasps from the English League. And Leicester played an Italian select 15 last week, and Porter had a run out there, and on the basis of that, Eddie Jones decided he was the most appropriate man to fill the gap, led by Mana Tuolangi. Tuolangi on the bench today, but I think you can probably assume that fitness allowing, Tuolangi will be back for England next week to take on the All Blacks.
Apparently he was 100% on board being rested, Tuolangi. He's a player you like to play.
More dominance from that England scrum. Well, England were looking for the penalty.
You must stay straight.
And eventually James Dolman has rewarded that England scrum.
Well, they didn't get that reward against the Puma pack last week. But again, it is a weakness. If there is a couple of weaknesses in Japan's game, it is in the tight. And England know they're like a pack of dogs out there at the moment. White Wolves are going at it. And it was interesting as that little breaking play was happening. James Dolman, the referee, was just getting a little bit of help and advice from Cowan Dickey and Ellis Genge coming up, and they're doing this, they're doing that, so we're all straight and all fine, sir. Again, good play, good professional play, just getting to the referee. We've won, what, three pens now at scrum time?
Well, Japan, they've got 3 of the sharpest rugby brains within their coaching staff. 3 men who have worn the black jersey of New Zealand during their playing careers. They've got some thinking to do with those problems for Japan in the set piece. That's from Portfleet, straight through the hands there of Hill. I'm not necessarily sure that was intended, but it went to Genge.
It wasn't, but it works. Put it into the playbook.
Here's Marcus Smith, floating the pass out, and has been snapped up by Nagare. Nagare himself doesn't have the pace. Across comes Porter, who has his Leicester Tigers teammate, Stewart, the try scorer. He fires that, it's at the fullback, and Yamanaka prefers that left foot, just kicks it infield. So options here for Marcus Smith. Matsushima there. Well, Freddie Stewart collided with him. Referee decides that there was no penalty. And there's Yamasawa. Driven forward by Gu, the tight head. Lost forward again. Far too easily, Japan spilling possession when they do have it. Here's Johnny Hill. Runs to the Exeter Chiefs. Now a Sale Shark. Farrell. Here's May. On to Cowan Dickey. As it was last week, Twickenham at the moment, not as noisy as it often is. Little chip over the top there from Marcus Smith. And that was taken comfortably by Japan. There's Nagare. Back to his half-back friend, Yamasawa. Stewart, all 6'5" of him. Throwing with confidence. There's the offload. Van Portfleet has Fokenasinger, and Fokenasinger. Oh, that was such an important tackle in the end, coming from Yamasawa, but the danger not gone, and it's Marcus Smith who's gone into the corner. Well, I'm sure it will be checked, but one way or another, England may well have got their second try.
Well, normally Marcus Smith likes to celebrate a try and a score. Whether he knows he's got it down, I don't know. Stewart does superbly well. This time Japan kick long, and again they don't rush out. They're dog legs all over the place, and finds the injection of pace right through the middle. A great offload to the scrum half. And then Fokenasinger got a try last week. He just hauled down. He's got to release that. Now he releases it. Marcus Smith is there. He tries the hitch kick. The flag is fine as long as he's still in the air. Who hit the flag? That's great. That's great power. That's what you get from a big man who's built like a second row playing fullback. Van Portfleet, beautiful, beautiful. Takes nearly 2 people out. Yamasawa gets him just about, and then holding up. That's the result. We'll see it from this angle. Yes, he's got that down.
So for me, boys, the big thing that we need to still deal with is that scrum, yeah? That scrum, keep both players straight. Last one, Japan.
The acknowledgement coming from the television match official from France, Eric Gauzin. Oh, what a difference a week makes. Not even a week, 6 days. And Farrell drawing it round. Utterly flawless last Sunday and this Saturday. Yamasawa did very well to get Fokenasinger down, but the supporting players made all the difference. Van Portfleet, then Fokenasinger, and in the end the Harlequins fly half.
That's what good sides do, Martin. They capitalise and they score points when the opposition make mistakes. And at the moment, Japan are making far too many mistakes, dropping balls, kicking balls away. Actually, he got interception. Nagare got an interception. And instead of using his big winger on the left, he just put it to the boot, and then that Stewart counter-attacked, and the rest, as they say, is history. Another try ratcheted up.
That was fantastically taken by Luke Cowan-Dickie, who has competition for that number 2 jersey now, with Jamie George on the bench today.
Good.
Broke a couple of bones in his foot, the metatarsals, and was expected to miss the entire autumn, but he's back, and Yamasawa has lost that forward.
Lost forward by Blue.
Toji
I have backwards
applauds again,
by
and
Blue,
another mistake.
Here.
Again, they just can't really get into the game, Japan's a little cheeky one restart, but again, they've read it. Who was it, Martin? Was it
Luke Cowan-Dickie?
Cowan-Dickie, I'm sorry, yep. There you go, we'll see it from another angle. There you go, one of the biggest against one of the smallest, and this time the small lad wins.
Yep.
Exeter Chief soaring above
And the contest in the
Japan's second row.
First. Boys, it's going to be
again, like I said, there's a little mistake there, and look where England are now. They've just scored a try, the 17-0 up. Just coming 15 minutes to go, plenty of time. Japan are not in this game at the moment. Nothing's working from them, the scrum isn't working, so England going to heap a bit more pressure.
So from the contest in the air, lost forward.
Well, Eric Gozin has seen something which escaped both me initially and James Dolman. It's a knock-on off an England hand, so it will be a Japanese knock forward. Let's see this. There's Van Heerba, and it's Thoken Singer.
I don't see it going forward, I see it going
forward. You see the TMO getting involved. The Ladies World Cup final, didn't we, Mr. Whitehouse? A crucial spot. The kick was judged not to have touched. A kick, basically, so they went back, and then unfortunately they got into a position. Anyway, it's not going to happen today, I'm sure, from England with this start and this the way they're just putting a lead together.
Well,
more help going on. Yeah, they go.
Reset.
Ellis Genji's, this is how you scrummage, lads. Come on.
Let's go, guys. Quick reset.
Yes, the Japanese scrum half here, Yutaka Nagare.
Good. And stay in it, don't pull back.
Who is a co-captain of sorts, Jamie Joseph. The formal captain is Atsushi Sakata. But Nagare also holds a significant leadership role. Getting a bit twitchy here with the put-ins. He knows how much pressure his front 5 are under, but that is as it was, remembering the Brighton Miracle Day. That was good hands from Van der Neven. Here's Riley, good step. Important tackle coming in from Owen Farrell. They like to play with speed, and when they get it right here, Japan are a wonder to behold. We've yet to see any of it really today. Carried forward there by Tatafu. Nagare has his hands on it. Out from Yamasawa. Nakamura. Here's Van den Heerba. Michael Leach. And well, it took a while to come up. The flag being raised by the assistant referee on this side.
Eyes on.
And Nick Berry.
Yeah, the first initial... Sorry, Martin, but the first initial, it looks great, it looks sexy and everything like that, but it's done so far behind the gain line, so England doesn't have plenty of time to read that. Look, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. It's a nice movement, they're moving the ball to the edge, that's great. Riley, like I said, he's a handful. And again, this is good play.
What's your numbers, please, mate?
But unfortunately, Leach just, you don't want to go to the touchline, not with Big Joe Cockennessy. You can see the size of Big Joe there, almost equal to Leach, who plays in the back row.
Leach getting his hand up there to spoil, and Japan have it. Here is Leach again, the one survivor from that win against South Africa in Brighton 7 years ago. That was Nakamura, a try scorer here in 2018. That was Tatafu trying to force their way forward. There's Nagare again. Good body position. First real chance of the match for Japan. Crucial that they get a score, you would have thought. Here's Nagare. Nagare, Yamasawa. England have come offside. That's the fullback Yamanaka. Nagare again, and that time it's spilt.
That's fine. No advantage.
So, what will Japan do here?
Well, the last scrum they were okay. They got the ball in, but they weren't 5 metres out. What happens in this situation, normally the England back row will get twitchy, so they won't put all their weight in. I think they may go for...
Shot called.
They're going for 3. They want to get on the board. Okay. Still plenty of time. 17-0 down. 10 minutes to go in the second half. Get on the board. They have played a little bit better rugby. Put some phases together. I think they may have pumped that into the corner and gone for a catch and drive. The line-out was outstanding against New Zealand. But, okay, you can't fault them. They've got in the 22. England was scrapping a little bit to get hold of the ball, to get it back, and I think they're going to go for 3, and they will get 3.
So
Takuya Yamasawa. He plays his club rugby for Saitama Wild Knights. Japanese domestic season, which gets underway next month, and has the structure which I think many people would say is the envy of the world, because it's a relatively short season.
Good. Ours tends to be, well, it's getting shorter with sides dropping out from the Premiership, and I'm sure they will rectify that. But again, sometimes by playing a lot of rugby, it doesn't help. It's not beneficial, especially to sides going to a World Cup after a very hard domestic series. So, and Japan haven't played that many games since the last World Cup, have they, with COVID and everything?
The catch there from Knelson.
Yep.
There's Nagari. Yamasawa. Oh, it's got through. Now, has he got support? He has. Nagari, his half-back mate. That was Nakamura. That's Himeno.
Yeah, got to his feet.
Himeno had a very impressive season playing in New Zealand for the Highlanders.
He's an excellent player. He's really got it. That's what Japan need. They need world-class guys like him.
The kick pass there from Yamasawa to Van der Heever. Van der Heever with the chip ahead. Sits up nicely for Freddie Stewart. Spoken Singer. Acted as a good screen there.
Use it, please.
And here's Van Portfleet, who's had a very accomplished start. Van Portfleet, who hasn't had that much game time at Leicester this season. They've got 2 England scrum halves there, not just Ben Young's the most capped ever England international, and that's Johnny May rising high and poaching it from Yamanaka, the fullback. Here's Sinclair. Van Portfleet. Smith. Farrell. That didn't work out as he'd hoped. Tatafu mopping things up. Yamasawa picking that up on the half volley, and Leach is away, and Leach has got pace, and he's looking for a mate here, and he's found Riley, and Riley past Johnny May, and Riley almost there. That really is Japan at their best. The ball's gone for as an advantage, a penalty advantage against England.
I was going to say there's some professional fouling going on there.
It's going to be a yellow card.
Absolutely.
So Johnny May.
Well, he looks struggling. I mean, I know he's been out for a long time, but Riley, I felt he was one to watch. The Japan centre, but he actually just put his toe on the ball and blitzed past Johnny May. Well, if they took 3 last time, they'll take 3 this time. But again, it's Leach just off the bouncing ball. Everyone looks at a bouncing ball. Sometimes they're prolifically better. Leach with all the experience, just hold. Riley there. Johnny May is almost running in a bit of sand there. He does well to get back. But then he just lies on top. There's Leach. Talismanic figure. I know that's an overused word, but he isn't in this case for Japan rugby. He's been unbelievably brilliant over the years.
Those 34-year-old legs working rather nicely as well. Jamie Joseph, there he is, the head coach.
Well, they took 3, they got down to 25, they came back up, they struggled to get out a little bit, all of a sudden like a bouncing ball. Leach gets hold of it, and then they're back down for another 3. So from 17-0, 17-6, JJ will take that.
It's worth noting they came back from an 18-point deficit a couple of weeks ago against the All Blacks and ran New Zealand very close indeed in the end.
They certainly did, and there it is. Leach is off with that experience. Anyone watching there, the calls will be coming. Calls could come from England saying inside, outside, but at that time it's Riley. Like you said, he's the Durban-born South African centre who's very, very good.
Time off until you're ready.
He's got off his feet. He's a difficult one because I think Smith has knocked that out. Anyway, the referee's made that decision. England trudge back to the halfway.
Time on.
For the restart.
So, Owen Farrell. Van der Heever. His inclusion from the start, the only alteration made by Jamie Joseph from that 15, who did so well against the All Blacks in Tokyo. Siosai Fafita, who had a good game against the All Blacks, on the bench today.
Well, he's going to make an impact coming on. I think 7 defenders, which is the best so far against the New Zealand side.
Mopped up there by Cornelsen. Himeno with the quick hands on there to Inagaki. Eventually comes back to Nagare. It was a good rip there from Tom Curry, but Japan retaining possession. Good rocking from England, but it's a penalty.
You've got to be on your feet, you're on your knees and you play the ball. Counter-ruck's fine, but then 6 plays the ball on the ground.
That's because he's not a 6. Harry Itoje's a second row, fantastic second row who can play 6. That's why I'd like to see. Anyway, we won't go there. Again, good work from England. Unfortunately, just been let down. You can't play that unless you're on your feet. This will go into the corner, and can Japan get another couple of points? Again, they'll keep this pace up. They are relentless. This is the way they play the game. Fast, furious, a lot of skill. Oh dear, not so much skill that time.
Yeah, you could see that Yamasawa was trying to bite off perhaps a bit too much there. He got the ball back. Yamanaka urging him to stick it into the air. Yamanaka, the fullback's after it. Thokuna Singer's comfortable underneath it.
Good contest, the ball is still in. Use it, please, 9.
There it is from Portfleet. Johnny Hill.
Okay, that's a good line, stay there. Time your run.
Johnny Hill looking more and more mature as a Test rugby player.
All long.
Look at the height on that from Van Portfleet. Perhaps not enough depth, though.
Play on, all backwards.
Into the hands there of Japan. Last couple of minutes of the first half. Oh dear, and then it's spilled. The hack forward from Hill. Van der Heever goes back. Oh, he's made a right mess of that.
That's why we always chase. Chase the advantage, always.
Ruck formed, second go.
Nagare. Back to his fullback, Yamanaka. And Yamanaka fires it into touch, but that really was a rather untidy couple of minutes from Japan.
But that's the way they play Japan. They will do the offload, and unfortunately they haven't stuck today. Their hands are normally very good. It's just not, he's not looking. Big number 8 just not looking there, and again Johnny Hill can put his toe on it, that's fine.
Access,
and
boys,
you think, oh my goodness me, lad, what are you doing? Anyway, it's turned out all right, but you can see the 2 different styles. When England get caught slow ball, they put the ball up in the air for the box kick, whereas Japan always like to play the pod game out the back, trying to get someone to the edge to get around that edge. But England's defence is pretty good, and the line out normally very good. Rubbish that.
Japan living dangerously, and that popping out of the hand there of Guy Porter, but that's the first lost line out of the match so far for England. Yamanaka.
Well,
I'm not sure that went quite where it was meant to.
He'll take it with just in the last minute. They want to leak any more points, Japan.
Yamanaka, the fullback underneath there, along with Stewart. Oh, Stewart, so brave. I think he took a bit of a bang there, did the scorer of the first try, and he's getting back to his feet very gingerly. Here's Itoje. Van Portfleet. Back goes the fullback Yamanaka again. Van der Heever having to bend his back. Oh, I say, his fullback.
Penalty coming here.
Oh, it's been turned over. Van Portfleet, and look at the numbers out wide here. And surely this time, Simmons onto Porter. And Guy Porter, whose selection, shall we say, was a source of Much discussion, speculation, even a bit of criticism. Gets a test try in just his third test appearance.
Well, Japan are making it so easy for England at the moment. They're just coughing up possession in the contact area, throwing passes that people aren't looking at. Not taking good balls. This is brilliant from Stewart, by the way. Again, it's a 50-50 ball. That's a contest. There's no problem with that at all. Ball comes out. I think he regains it. There you go. That's fine. That hasn't gone forward because he's regained it. But again, they're trying to run out from deep, Japan. Turnover ball, and look at the numbers. It's a simple game. Riley tries to rush out on Simmons, I think it is. Passes it off to Porter, and he can't believe his luck.
Poor old Harold van der Heerde has had a couple of moments to forget, hasn't he?
But that's the game. You see, Japan want to play this way. It's great, but don't make mistakes. You're giving England points, which for the faithful around you is good, but they're not having to work too hard for it, are they? It's all on the back of all mistakes from Japan.
Eddie Jones just having a few words with Richard Cockerell, member of the coaching staff, and Owen Farrell, to maintain that perfect kicking record this autumn. He really doesn't look like missing one, does he? It's half-time at Twickenham. England, good value for their lead. Ben Youngs, the most cap ever. England rugby player looks on, and it's 24 points to 6 at half-time. Japan making a single change at half-time. On has come Lee Chung-shin, the Kobe stealer. Fly-half specialist, and he has replaced Takuya Yamasawa. Chance to reflect on that opening 40 minutes, Dowie. England, well worth their lead, I would have thought, 24 points to 6, but Japan made it so easy for them.
They certainly did. We know the way Japan are going to play and want to play, but to do that, to put pressure on sides, you've got to hold on to the ball. They just gifted England too many easy balls, too many positions in their own half, and if you look at the penalties, 4-5, that's England 4, which they'll be happy with, because normally they're well above the 10s, 11s and 12s, but the scrum penalties is 3 against Japan, so that actually just sort of set the set of the game. But England, yeah, well on top here, and they're just looking to dominate the set pieces and then run off that. I think Van Portfleet's had a great start. Stewart at 15 has been outstanding, so everything is rosy for England at the moment.
Eddie Jones, against his former country, of course, the man who masterminded that win in Brighton on the opening weekend of the World Cup 7 years ago. There's the man in charge now, Jamie Joseph, who picked the ball up and ran with it, I suppose, succeeding Eddie Jones, having a stunning World Cup on home territory 3 years ago, when Japan did go out in the quarter-finals, beat by the eventual champion South Africa, but so good through the pools. So 24 points to 6. And the new man Lee gets us back underway. Sam Simmons. One of the criticisms of England last week in terms of the selection was the lack of pace in the starting 15, the inclusion of the likes of Sam Simmons and Johnny May addressing that. As Carl Sinclair getting forced back by Warner Durns. Marcus Smith, one of the try scorers in that opening 40 minutes. Ryohei Yamanaka, who prefers the left foot, finding touch within about 6 or 7 metres of halfway. Remember, England's still down to 14. Johnny May in the bin for the next 3 or 4 minutes.
Certainly is. I don't quite understand the statement from Eddie Jones that, you know, the lack of pace. Well, he picked the side in the first place, doesn't he, against Argentina, and then lack of pace, yeah. Anyway.
Well, that's another line out that's gone astray for England. They had one of those in the first half as well. There's Nagare.
High advantage. High tackle.
Referee playing a penalty advantage here to Japan. That was Riley. There's Leach. A couple of grabs being taken there by Ngaki. There's Nagare. The floated pass finding no one. But we shall return for that penalty.
Yeah, and James Dolman likes to play a long advantage. And in that case, there was actually nothing coming for Japan. But again, it's England's lost 2 line-outs now. And that's interesting because the set piece, I'm saying, like, Japan have hit 43 rucks in that first half opposed to England's 24, so they just want to keep ball in hand. Whereas England now have just got 9 line-outs. They've lost 2 to Japan's 1 line-out. So you can see just the way Japan wants the ball in hand. Yes, they're not controlling the ball. That's why they're gifting England so many points. But that's the 2 different styles.
15 metres in from touch.
Yes, Johnny Hill, the player, feeling the collar of Kazuki Himeno.
And possession is almost even Stevens, but again, you just have the possession. It's what you do with the ball, isn't it?
There's the call. It's back here. Back here. Thank you. Just there, thank you.
Well, Lee just trying to nick a couple of metres, which you would have thought could make a little bit of a difference. Decent kicking stats for the year so far, operating in excess of 80%, although it is of a fairly small sample, just 12 shots at goal so far. So quite hubbub around Twickenham, and that not really threatening the uprights.
Okay, thank you. Oh, and your yellow card's coming back.
Slightly strange call, that one, particularly bearing in mind that was the last play when England were down to 14, as you see Johnny May come back.
Let's go.
Yeah, but they did that at the end of the first half, didn't they? Kick their 2 penalties to get on the board. Really didn't strike that at all.
Captain taking that in, Sakate. There's Nakate. Lee. Full-back in the line, being apprehended. Tom Curry. Along there with Sam Simmons. There's Van der Heever. Van der Heever wearing the 11 jersey as he once did for the Bulls in Pretoria. There's Warner Dearns. I'll talk about the 11 jersey for the Bulls in Pretoria. It was a rather famous jersey because Van der Heever wore it in succession to a certain Brian Habana, and Habana moved to Cape Town to play for the Stormers. Stewart, who was impressive in that opening 40 minutes. Long hoof there from Lee, straight down the throat of Johnny May. There goes Marcus Smith.
This man's on.
Well, England aren't going to run out from deep because that's not their plan, and they don't have to at 24-6. So we'll just have a bit of kick tennis for the next 5.
All on.
Chance to run here for Van Poortvliet. The offload to his Leicester teammate Stewart. Stewart looking for the support. Well, the assistant referee here decided that Stewart didn't go into touch. Van Poortvliet, Marcus Smith. There's Sinclair. Johnny May steps into play, the impromptu scrum half. There's Porter. Another Leicester man from Poortvliet. Here's Luke Cowan-Dickey of Exeter. Foken Singer, a try last week. Just for a moment thought he might be on for another one here. Marcus Smith just stabs it through, but that one didn't work terribly well. But it was Nakamura who was holding on to that ball. The grim death, far too long for the referee, James Dolman.
Yeah, if you've got that, you can actually, I think he attempted to release it, then pick it up again, but obviously it wasn't clear enough. And the power mongers, Genge and the likes are going through the middle, holding it. Farrell will pump it into the corner. And I like the way, you know, Van Poortvliet's gone about his job with all these big white orcs in front of him. They've got a great platform, but I think the Leicester scrum half has really added to England. He's zipped along, he reads the game well. Obviously he's got a good relationship, he knows how that guy wants to play. Whether he is allowed to play that, we'll have to see how these next 2 bigger games against New Zealand and South Africa go ahead. But at the moment I think England are well on song, and you've got Poortvliet conducting them superbly.
Maro Itoje having to bend his back a little bit to secure that one. It's there for Van Poortvliet. Farrell presents it. Chance to go wide. Marcus Smith. Stewart thinks he can go through himself, but it was full-back on full-back. Curry. Sinclair. At pace. He takes some stopping. How well they did. What about Ellis Genge, though? And he gets over. The baby rhino has made it 4 for England.
Easy game, isn't it? Stretch wide. It's a numbers game. Don't panic, and then you get your big rhinos, like you said, just crashing it up. Look at England just stretching. Japan, they're scampering to get back. Stewart does the right thing there. It's pointless giving the pass to May, because that will take all the space out and the defence is in the line. Recycle. That's the second one. The first one was from Sinclair. That one's from Genge. 2 Bristol props combining, and you're not stopping him from that distance. It's the power through the hit. He keeps his legs pumping, and it doesn't matter who's in front of him, he's going over that line. Again, too easy for England, but well worked from England. That's the way to play.
That not asking a huge amount of Owen Farrell. England well into the 30s.
Here it comes. That's the second time Sinclair sets up the first time. And you come from deep, out wide. You see, it's not a a little pop ball that's almost standing where the fly half would stand, but again, it's all about momentum, it's all coming on the ball. You take your trigger from your 9, from the scrum half, he's done that, the 9's hit him, and no one was stopping him, and he's got a kiss. Kiss the scrum half.
And Japan, as we focus there on Eddie Jones, Japan making an alteration in the front row. Craig Miller, former Otago Boys High School player, has come on. He's replaced Keita Inagaki on the loosehead side. Sam Simmons.
Step there.
Also, they made the change on the wing with Van den Heerber coming off, and he's replaced by Siasaya Papita. There's Papita straight into the action, wearing 23. Magare. Captain feeds the ball on. Nakamura. Oh, and look at the counter up there from Itoje, and Johnny Hill, one-handed, floated over the top from Ribbons. It's now with May. Off the left foot there of Farrell, and Porter's after it, and Porter has got there. A second try for the Leicester Tiger.
Far too easy again, but again, it's superb work from England. Pressure's building all the time. Turnover rucks. That's the way. You can't believe how easy it is, Guy Porter. Just on the end of a good kick from Farrell. Up the touchline. Exact thing to do. So I say Sam Simmons is having a super game. Again, it's Mario Itoje going over. That's fine. Again, you're okay to do that. Johnny Hill, he's on his feet. It's the Harlem Globetrotters are in town. The two big giraffes popping the ball over the top. The result, Farrell off his left into the corner. Beautifully timed, beautifully weighted, beautifully finished. There you go. That's what you got to do as a scrum half. Scan in front of you. I know he's playing 12, but he knew exactly what he was doing. Marcus Smith can't quite get there, but the Leicester guy can. You'll see this time and time again.
Well, Eddie Jones has had more critics this week than he needs to fill the Albert Hall. But the men who he's backed, and they include that man there, Guy Porter, have justified the selection. There he is. Not quite sure what it is that has prompted Eddie Jones to get out of his seat and to get down to the pitch side, but so Owen Farrell. 12 from 12 over the course of a week. 7 out of 7 against Argentina last Sunday. Can he now go to 6 from 6 on Saturday against Japan? Dark question, really, wasn't it? There's always an element of inevitability when this man, Owen Farrell, is on form. Well, whatever the message was from Eddie Jones, he's delivered it, and he's getting back to his seat. Mario Itoje there, the counter-rucking. That created it.
Yeah, Nakamura taking the ball in, he didn't do it correctly. He got turned, and that's what happens when England are on song. They'll just, the big lads will poach it, and the fast lads will finish it.
Sam Simmons with those rather striking yellow boots.
He's added a whole new dimension really to carrying. Billy Vunipola last week wasn't. I know the conditions were bad, but he lost quite a few balls trucking up, as he says, but Sam Simmons doesn't truck it up. He does it with purpose, he does it with pace, he does it with speed.
Well, that went forward at some point. Off an England hand. Marcus Smith scoring a try today. Mako Vunipola stripping off, so we've got two Saracens about to join us.
And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse for Japan, Richard Cockrell, that is a wry smile. On they come. Here they come. And these lads can scrummage and they can play.
Yes, Jamie George, whose Autumn Nation series appeared to have been written off because of those two metatarsal injuries. Those are little bones in your feet, if you want to put it in English.
Okay.
Well, despite the fractures, back very swiftly indeed. The wonders of modern medicine. Luke Cowan-Dickey gives way, as does the try scorer, or one of the try scorers, Ellis Genge.
The beauty of the professional game, the modern game. 30 minutes to go, you're coming on for another cap. 38 points to 6. The Japanese scrum's under pressure. Life couldn't get any better. That's for a front row forward, that is.
Bear in mind this 23 today, wearing the blue of Japan, something very close to the squad that Jamie Joseph will take to the World Cup next year. And these two sides meet on the second weekend in Nice. There's Nakamura earning his 32nd cap for Japan today. Missing out Derns onto Himeno. Out from Nagare. There's the captain, Sakate. Nagare pops it over the shoulder there of Thurkan Asinga, but rather handily for the Bath wing. It sits up nicely. Freddie Stewart. Well, does that count as an error from Stewart, having his kick charged down by Fafita? If it does, it's his first of the day.
No, that is a slight error, but again, England doing the right thing. Coles comes on his second cap. Did pretty good last week, but again, it's just the way England are going about their line speed. The defence is outstanding. From my fruit machine, from his 7 dominant tackles, there's 90 tackles in all. Japan have only made 67 because they've had most of the ball and they want to play that way, but out of 90 tackles, there's 7 dominant tackles that stop Japan in their tracks. That's their game. Japan want momentum. You stop momentum, they ain't going to do much.
Naoto Saito is on for Nagare, so a change at scrum half for Japan, as well as the alteration involving the 2 Northampton Saints second row forwards. Coles on for Ribbons. Fafita took a couple of grabs at that, put it down with both. 2 knock-ons, first one from the hands of Fafita.
Great kick, great box kick, perfect hang time, perfect chase, almost perfect England today. In everything they've done, they don't panic, they go back to type. You know, they're not frightened to put the ball up in the air, because if you compete, you kick to compete, you can make the opposition make mistakes, and it's the most mistakes I've ever seen Japan make, to be honest, in one game. But it doesn't matter, you only play what's in front of you. I think they could really, really go for this. 25 minutes to go, they could really put the foot on the throat. And that's what they should do. That's what Eddie Jones, I'm sure, and all the coaches are. Come on then, how good are you?
Well, Japan weren't at their best in their opening game in last season's Autumn Nations Series, when they were put to the sword by Ireland by 60 points to 5. They got rather better as the month went on. Penalty against the England scrum. Now that's a rarity.
Well, again, there's a bit of pride out there. And I've just said we've got to stand up if we're going to get anything out of this game with the scoreline that's there, with the time remaining. We've got to really get done. Some of those subs for Japan has helped. And Craig Miller coming on. He's born in Dunedin, New Zealand, so he knows his way around a scrum. But England thought they were going to go for a pen there, kick the ball into the corner, go for a line out and score again. As it is, it's reversal. So the finishers, as Eddie Jones like to talk about them, haven't done their job.
Well, that was a decent kick into the corner from Lee. And here is Sakate. See Fafita joining the line up there right at the front. Something's coming here. They find all 6'8" of Warner Derns, and Fafita was supposed to get it. That's why he was there, but he fumbled it. Japan get a second bite though. There's the new scrum half, Saito. Michael Leach. Being held up there is Peter Labaskachny. Another of those who's a veteran of the last World Cup. Regular starter he was during that campaign. There goes Lee. Saito. Miller getting his hands involved there, the replacement loose head. Saito out to Lee, long pass out. Singa taking out Nakamura. Here's Warner Dearns. Long pass, that was a little awkward for Fafita, but he's a big fella, you can see that. Getting knocked back by Sam Simmons and also Jamie George. Little inside pass from Sakate, the captain. There's the 12th phase. That was Jimeno. Oh, and he's through his Dearns. And it's Dearns up against Portfleet. And eventually the try is scored by the replacement scrum half. And Naoto Saito has got the try for Japan.
Well, Dearns scored one against New Zealand. Again, halfway charged it down and re-grabbled the ball. That time he's just made a break up the middle. Put Saito on for a score, and again Japan will keep coming at you. They won't change the plan. The little offload, and there he goes, just it. No one's at home. He picks again. It's good dexterity, good skills, popping up, doesn't die with the ball, and Saito underneath the sticks. They keep knocking at that door. There he goes, a rip ball. It doesn't matter if that ball goes forward, it doesn't matter because it's a rip ball. You're allowed to play on. Dearns does that, Saito scores.
Well, we saw how neat Warner Dearns' hands are. Perhaps he's inherited that skill from his mother, the former New Zealand netball international. We saw that against the All Blacks in Tokyo a couple of weeks ago when he charged one down and it stuck in his hands. And again here, look at this, that was awkward. Couple of grabs, has to bend his back as well from 6'8". What's that, 2 meters and 3?
No, it's 6'8". In old money. No, it's good skill. And again, Japan deserve that. Do they deserve to be as far behind? Yes, they do, because they made far too many errors. That's the problem. And international rugby, the rarefied air that you're going to play at, especially the World Cup coming up, and especially if you visit Twickenham, you've got to be pretty squeaky clean, and they haven't been today.
Well, we saw those ruck speeds there, which are quite significant because
use it, please, 9.
Japan are good when they're playing with pace.
Backwards by White.
Picked up by Nakamura. I think they have to be mindful here. They do have a very significant, what would appear to be a winning lead. So we've just moved into the final quarter of the match. There's Freddie Stewart, really has had the Midas touch. And he's demonstrated it again. Oh, I think that was just outside the 22.
Yeah.
Just.
Is that his second mistake?
Yeah.
It was just.
You'll be on the line. Sorry?
Yes, the relatively new regulation in the sport. Firing the ball from inside your own half. You bounce it into touch inside the opposition 22, then you get the throw into the line out. So it's a big momentum shifter if you can do it. And for a moment, I think Freddie Stewart thought that that was delivering just that. But now Eric Gozan, the television match official, I think he's just having a second look at this just to make sure that it did go in the touch outside the 22. It was very, very close, as we can see Billy Vunipola coming on. He's a player who will feel that he owes Eddie Jones one after last week.
Yeah, coming back again after a long time out. Didn't perform too well, he just needs game time. Well, there's two big games coming up after this one, isn't it? New Zealand are in town next Saturday, followed by the Boca. They're here as well.
It's Monsieur Guzan confirming, just outside the 22. Straight over the top, Matsushima. Tackled, finding himself in the air, but being brought down to earth safely by Jamie George. That goes from Portfleet. He leaves it for Johnny May. May eventually grabbed hold of by Peter Labuskaghni, one of those former South Africans in this Japan 23. Jack van Portfleet just looking for the ball.
Yeah, but it's your own men.
And dig away. There it is. There's Mako Vunapola being forced backwards.
Use it, please.
Well, Johnny May not quite getting to that. Here's Riley, cutting in field. Such an impressive player. And then that was an English hand. It looked like Vunapola getting in there, and the referee spotted that.
It was Big Billy's hand. Fafita, the left wing for Japan, who's come on, who actually just wanted that ball kicked up field so he could chase. Unfortunately, it didn't come to him. Hence it gets recycled, and the big hit on Miller.
In the tackle, scrum.
But again, you can see that hand going in front of him. Legitimate tackle, try a wraparound tackle, no problem with that at all. Just a slap down, yeah.
You got both teams.
You sometimes wonder about those, don't you, Dowie? I think players
both teams have
are capable of a certain sleight of hand. Billy Vunapola going in with the right to make the tackle, and whatever he did with the left hand, rather ensuring that ball wasn't going to get shoveled on. One of the skills, not quite a dark art, but not a dark art.
No, it's a skill you use, and if the place wasn't like Twickenham with 26 cameras, a TMO that's on every decision and et al, you may get away with it. Yeah, you could try and con a referee, but the modern game with all the coverage, no chance.
That's quite a picture, isn't it?
Okay.
Crowd today, the official attendance just in excess of 81,000.
Lost forward by White in the tackle, blue ball.
4 straight weekends of Test match rugby at Twickenham. John Mitchell, only 14 months ago, he was on the England rugby staff. The main announcement at Twickenham this week, by the way, was about England's coaching staff. Apparently, Dowie, it's become a running joke among the staff at number 10 Downing Street that following the elevation of Rishi Sunak, Great Britain now has had as many prime ministers in the past 14 months as Eddie Jones has had defence coaches.
Yep.
That kick not getting the bounce that Japan were looking for.
Goal line.
I don't think Eddie Jones is on John Mitchell's Christmas card list, I can assure you of that.
But that was an announcement which came from nowhere, wasn't it, when it did?
Yep. You can't bring your foot right back.
So the new England man in terms of defence coach, Brett Hodgson, formerly from the rugby league world, who replaces another rugby leaguer who's returning to it, Anthony Seibold, who's heading back home to Australia for a job in rugby league there. So one Leicester Tiger replaces another. At scrum half, Jack van Portfleet, who doesn't get that much game time, or hasn't had this season at Leicester, with not just Ben Youngs on the staff, but also Richard Wigglesworth. Joe Thokanasiga leaves us after 63 minutes, on a day when Thokanasiga was not expecting to be in the 23. And we've got Henry Slade on. Here's Fafita. Hands a bit better that time. Running straight into that rather solid citizen, Billy Vunapola. Lee. That's the fullback. Did rather well to keep hold of that Yamanaka. Saito, scorer of the try. Out to Lee again. Here's Riley. Just stepping off his feet, but he's left the ball behind. It's been picked up by Atoje. There's Ben Youngs. Youngs making it cap number 119 today, but it's gone loose. And there's Labaskachny.
Play on, got to his feet.
Billy Vunapola wants to play for Japan, I think.
Well, that was a bit loose, but it was well picked up by Riley. Here's Fafita, getting around Stewart that time. Vunapola getting him around the ankles.
Boy, step. Good.
Here's the captain, Sakate. Inside the 22. Japan going through the best spell of the game as far as they're concerned. Matsushima. That's Craig Miller. 17 on 17 that time. Neat little inside pass. There goes Sakate, the captain again. Warner-Dearns right in the thick of things. They're within 10 metres now at Japan. Here's Lavaskafny. That's Miller getting knocked back. Good work that time from Alex Coles in defence for England. Here's Warner-Dearns. Curry holding on to him, and Dearns still going. Within half a metre, the referee having a good look there.
No hands in the S6.
England being told to get their hands out of the way. There's the ball. The scrum half just burrowing away for it. The long pass out wide. A step there from Lee. Here comes Fafita. Getting through the first tackle.
Gosh,
he's still going.
He is a handful, isn't he?
Leave it, boys.
Saito. Riley forcing it through, and back goes Farrell.
Goal line.
Well, perhaps not the best call that time from Dylan Riley. A player who seems to get better with every test match. Really has been quite a find. He's one of those players who has come through to the Japan setup since the last World Cup.
Yeah, wasn't really on that kick. Fafita's done all his work before. He's at the bottom of a ruck, so he's not on his on the left wing. Farrell doing well. He's had a good game. Kicked his goals. Again, good on the front foot. I'm still out whether this 10-12 relationships work. We'll see that when the bigger games come, when the Kiwis are in town next week and the South Africans the week after.
Carl Sinclair goes off. On comes another Leicester Tiger, Joe Hayes. Good young talent, Joe Hayes, although I guess there are one or two people at Welford Road, the home of Leicester Rugby, who would say that he's certainly only the second best scrummaging tight head at that club, with Dan Cole doing so well this season. May well be in the autumn of his career, but here's Leach, driven back by Coles. And it's Yamanaka, the fullback. Saito again, missing out Dearns. Here's Leach. Tom Curry, yet another tackle. So industrious. That's actually Tom Curry's 19th tackle in the opening 67 minutes.
Again, it's that white wall, that relentless line speed England work on. I would say it's harder sometimes to play without the ball than with it, and England are just turning this into an art form this afternoon, winning penalty after penalty. Japan can't get any fluidity going out there, no momentum really. You can just see they almost run out of ideas, and then they have to force the ball, and when they force it, it doesn't go to hand, and Leach knows that. They've been well beaten today, out-thought, out-dominated really with the tackles. You're mentioning Tom Curry, Sam Simmons is up there with the dominant tackles. I think it's 11-3 at the moment, and that's stopping a person on that gain line. England have stopped Japan full stop.
Johnny May there forcing the knock on, and the Japan error compounded by the player playing it in an offside position. The last dozen minutes of the match.
Here we go. Can we finish with a flourish? That's what the fans want. They want to be entertained. They weren't last week. Bonfire night, Remembrance weekend. There we go. Penalty, penalty. They'll go into the corner. Billy Vunipola's signalling it already.
Number 4 on the arm.
Well, Warner-Dearns thought that he'd help win this against the throw, but he did have his left hand all over the wrist of Maro Itoje, which is why we have the penalty. Well, last week we had the Mexican wave, didn't we, which
on the line, boys, on the line.
really,
Clear access,
in microcosm, was the couple of minutes which summed up the England performance. Eddie Jones promised there would be no Mexican waves today. It has been an altogether more professional performance, and could they be on their way to another try here? Well, somewhere in there is the ball.
Don't think you can see that to give it.
What's the number? Yeah.
Well, the referee is playing a penalty advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. So the number, just back up.
It could be a penalty try. Eric Goza, I think, might be called on in a couple of moments to assist James Dolman.
Yeah.
Listening.
Okay. So
Side
this man
entry.
here, side entry. The maul's going forward with momentum. It's a yellow card and a penalty try here.
It is indeed a penalty try. Well, that's a double blow.
Fafita doesn't agree with it, but again, when you go into the line with that much speed, you can't really not score, if you see what I mean. People have to do something to get underneath you. You can see Jamie George at the back there. Again, he's coming. Fafita is actually come. Is it Fafita's coming the side? So he's coming in wrongly. The touch judge has seen it. He's transcripting that to the referee. There you go. That's where it goes. He triggers. You're not allowed that. You've got to come from the back foot. And really, England would have scored that if he hadn't come in. That's what the referee is deeming. Potentially, would there have been a try? Yes, they would. That's good help with the referee. Good help to the touch that he doesn't believe it. But that's the way of life. England get another 7 points.
England now inside of 50. Well, the take not clean from Alex Coles.
You've just lost it forward.
Alex Coles, they call him the educator at Northampton. I think it's a slightly ironic nickname for him.
Oh, I see. Irony.
Yes.
Oh,
yes, he grew up in Cambridge.
Ah.
And apparently his grandmother was rather disappointed when young Alex decided to focus full-time on rugby and not go to university. But Alex Coles has decided now he's got an academic career operating in parallel to his professional rugby one. He's doing a degree at one of the London colleges.
Double bubble, enjoying himself on both fronts. Excellent, well balanced. Apart from that scrum.
There's Matsushima. Leach. They'll keep on coming back at you, will Japan. There's Labaskafti. They're up to the 22.
They're lost now.
Lee. Here's Leach.
Well, they're going to finish the game with 14 guys anyway, and there is another big hit, but it's so easy for Farrell and the likes. They're just flapping this ball out, everyone knows.
Well, here's Yamanaka. There's the offload to Matsushima. Well, they thought they might have kept the ball in field, but Craig Evans running the line on this side decided not. There's Matsushima.
Time's off.
They have to try these things. They are a thing of beauty when it all comes off and it's wave after wave of possession. It has not been that way today because, again, they've made too many mistakes. England's tackling has been superb, 166, probably 167 to now against 73. That's how much ball Japan have had but haven't gone anywhere. There you go. The dominant tackles for me, 11-3. Turnovers, that happens because of the power and the pressure they're putting on. Just so one-sided.
We'll just give him time to get off the field. Just hold there, Blue, please. Hold there. Hold there. Just wait. Yeah. He's moving off.
Well, there's going to be an alteration in the front row now.
We've just got to give him time, boys. Give him time.
For Japan. Off goes Gu. The man who's actually born in South Korea, just being helped off by his captain, Atsushi Sakate. Jamie George finds his Saracens teammate, Maro Itoje.
Yes, you're correct. It is over the 5.
There were 1 or 2 line-out blemishes when Luke Cowan-Dickie was on the pitch. I wonder if that will impact on selection for next week against New Zealand next Saturday. There's Matsushima, and well, he was one of the marquee players at the World Cup in Japan, was Matsushima. Scored a hat-trick in the opening game against Russia, scored another in the win against Scotland, but Didn't really happen for him in France, where he spent time at Clermont-Auvergne. And he's now headed back to Japan, having recovered from a dislocated shoulder. This is just his second match since his return, but certainly on the evidence of today, not really anything like back to his best. He was found out in defence earlier on, and he hasn't had too many chances, Dowie, in attack.
No, but again, you will learn. You've got to learn from your defeats, in a sense. Again, to reiterate, Argentina that England played last week is the first pool game in the World Cup, 9th of September. Japan is the 2nd on the 17th of September. Then they've got Chile and Samoa. Yes, they should go through England, but to the other side of Japan, they'll know what to expect now from England, and the way you've got to play against them. You've got to be clinical. Don't make any mistakes. They've made far too many mistakes today. So you've got to learn from that. You don't have to reinvent the game or reinvent the way you want to play. You've just got to be better at it.
Ben Youngs got his hands on it. Here's Marcus Smith. The kick pass. A chip over the top from Stewart. Henry Slade is after it. Matsushima has been found out again. There's a chance here for Smith, and Smith gets his second. England up to a half-century.
That's it, it's a different scene and a different feel around Twickenham. The crowd are on their feet, they're cheering, they're clapping, smiles are out there. Again, Tuolangi enjoying that one. Smith getting his second, as you said. The numerical advantage of England paying off. The kick pass wasn't great, but again, Japan down to 14. There's acres of space at the end. Just checking that was okay, that's fine. Bounce of the rugby ball. How many times we've seen that? The kick ahead. Smith's onside from Slade. There you go, with all his experience of playing 10, getting balls, throwing it in from bad scrum halves, from good scrum halves. He's going to take that one all day, isn't he? It's good skill.
Yes, the bounce of a ball can sometimes embarrass you, but you have to think that if you were advising there, Matsushima, he did rather overcommit himself, didn't he?
He did, but again, as you asked me before, it's the learning process. What you take out of it. Leach has seen this before. He knows what to expect when you come to Twickenham. Twickenham's not an easy place to come to. That's why we were so surprised last week with the performance and the way Argentina went about it in terrible conditions. It's how you respond, how you react. They've done that today.
We're going to go, guys.
Well, the scoreline now between these two teams looking a little bit like the scoreline in the first ever meeting. This is just the third time they've met one another in a test match. The first time at that first ever World Cup.
Okay, time on, let's go.
Back in 1987 when Mike Harrison was the England captain. You remember Mike Harrison, don't you? Flying Wakefield win.
I do.
Backwards off blue.
Yeah, 60 points to 7 it was at that World Cup in New Zealand. This has been a sobering experience for Jamie Joseph, John Mitchell, Tony Brown, two of those All Blacks. One of them, John Mitchell, who wore the black of New Zealand, but never in a test match. And Henry Slade, the kick. Oh, I say, oh, you have to think there had to be a better option. Henry Slade knows it had too much, even for that man.
22.
They get 15 points to 13. He keeps that in his hand. At 52-13, you get a chance your arm.
22 or scrum.
Good offload from Farrell.
You want scrum?
It's a cakewalk in the middle of the pitch now, isn't it? He just puts it on his toe. He's a skillful lad, but unfortunately, Johnny May knows almost as soon as he's kicked it. It's just too much on that left side of the boot. It's always going away from him. He knows.
That might even have asked a little bit too much of Usain Bolt, let alone Johnny May.
I think Bolt would have got there.
Let's go now, please.
Again, Mays will be better for this run out. It'll be very interesting to see Eddie Jones' selection now come the All Blacks game.
Could you imagine Usain Bolt falling on it though? Matsushima under the high ball. Henry Slade anxious to atone at the first available opportunity. It's a penalty to England.
13.
Here goes Vunipola. They've still got 2.5 minutes on the clock. It's been turned over by Japan. Here's Warner-Durns. On to Riley. Riley had Matsushima on one side. He had Lee on the other. There's Lee. The ball has gone forward.
Curry's out there celebrating already, clapping hands. The bench has done the job. They're the starters. I think the player of the match is just about to go, so I'll leave it to you, Martin.
Well, it's time to identify the player of the match. And it is that man, Freddie Stewart, who has made that 15 jersey his own. Some would say at the moment he's the best fullback, not just in English rugby, but world rugby. I suppose that's a discussion point, but on the evidence of today, he was the best of the 46 men involved, and he really is growing into that role. And bear in mind, this is 15th England cap, and he's still just 21, hasn't turned 22 for another 3 weeks or so. England on their way to their 5th win of the calendar year. Wins against Italy, Wales, twice against Australia. The tackle there from Yamanaka.
Just slightly off on that move, just the ball behind us. That ball goes behind Japan, and that basically sums Japan's day up. Not accurate enough, not clinical enough. Wholehearted, but again, too many mistakes. Whereas Stewart, yeah, he deserves that. What's his figures? I think 3 carries, 49 metres made. That's not bad from 15. Solid as a rock, the proverbial rock behind. 2 offloads. Did he get it? He got a try, didn't he? Yeah, that one try when the Japanese winger flew up. Yeah, an all-round great performance, and as ever, you do need that rock behind you at 15. There's so much kicking in the modern game. You need somebody who can then counter-attack with it, who scans the situation, and is able to do what he's done today. Japan will get better. They will learn from, with all that coaching stuff you mentioned, with all that experience, and the experience out there through Leach, they will learn from this, and they will come back, I think, a better and a bigger animal at this World Cup coming up in France.
But there's no doubt Jamie Joseph will reflect and feel that, well, it's been 1 step forward in recent weeks, 2 steps back. Back comes Keita Inagaki. He will replace Craig Miller, who's had to leave us, so Inagaki is back for the last minute or so of the match.
Okay, what's your numbers?
Japan have won 2 of their matches this year.
Time on.
Right at the start of their international season, they beat Uruguay in back-to-back test matches, and don't forget Uruguay, Manatu Langi losing half of his shorts there for a moment. Uruguay are a World Cup qualifying team. They then lost 2 test matches to France, and here goes Stewart, player of the match. Thought he was going to round it off for a moment. Slade leaving it for Ben Youngs. Here's Joe Hayes, last half minute. A short pass there, and Slade leaving it behind.
Plus forward.
And Maro Itoje touches it down, but knows that the whistle will come.
Thanks.
Henry Slade, certainly in the eyes of Eddie Jones, he's a man with a point to prove, but earning his 50th cap here, it's been a cameo performance having come off the bench, but he is a quality of
yeah, great. He's a great servant of English. 50 caps is not easy to get, even in the modern day with all the substitutions. It's still a great achievement. I love him. I like him. I think he could play 10, he could play 12, he could play 13. My problem is if Marcus Smith and Farrell play together, I think England lose something. They lose a cutting edge at 12. If you're going to play Farrell, play him at 10, because his kicking is outstanding towards the post, and he ratchets up the points for you. That's the only thing I would say, and I think a lot of people say that, but you know, when you've won 52-13, everything in the garden's rosy.
So we're into the red numbers at the end of the match. Matsushima gets a chance to run here, but not really in the part of the pitch that he wants to do that. From within his own 22, it goes forward, into touch. The referee blows his whistle for the end of the match, and it's been clinical from the men in white. What a difference 6 days make in terms of the newspapers. Eddie Jones, I think, could look forward to a favourable report in tomorrow's Sundays. It has been a thoroughly professional performance from England. They will be judged, I suspect, on how they go over the next 2 weeks against New Zealand and then South Africa. But in terms of Japan, they've been swept aside. Final score at Twickenham, England 52, Japan 13.